Wit Yoni. We're going to recap Bulls Raptors and preview Bucks Suns, as well as a new edition of Yanni's Take. That's all right now on Yackin Wit Yoni. Welcome to this January the 17th edition of Yackin Wit Yoni. I am Ryan Yannishatis. We'll kick this thing off today with recapping the game from last night. The Bulls were north of the border in Toronto. Let's take a look at the bullet points. First one, Canadian Booze Cruise. From the start to finish of this game, Carlos Boozer was playing an unbelievable game. He was making his shots. It just seems like he is stepping heads and shoulders above the rest. He's playing like the Carlos Boozer from the Utah Jazz that we never got to see. So he's finally getting a chance to do that, and he's doing it very well as a member of the Chicago Bulls. So a great job by him, way to step up. And he's a big contribution to this Bulls team with Rose being out. Good job to him. Second one, Raptors bench keeps them in it. As again last night, their bench is what helped them get this game into overtime. The Bulls had, a 19-point lead at one time. To be able to go right in there and to be able to score, play well, and be able to get that game. And it's a pretty young team to go in there against a veteran team like the Chicago Bulls and get that game at least into overtime. Unbelievable. And finally, history repeats itself. Last year, the Bulls were able to get a tip-up by Luol Deng to get a game winner in Chicago. This time in overtime, a game-winning shot by Luol Deng gets the Bulls a victory, so the Bulls win at 107-105 in overtime. Luol Deng is just a Raptor killer. Great job by Luol Deng and the Chicago Bulls. Not the cleanest victory, they struggled, but they do get the win nonetheless, 107-105. Now they move on to Friday night, as they'll be in Boston to take on the Celtics. So that is the Bulls Raptors highlights. Or at least my keys, at least. Yackin Wit Yoni is on top of it when it comes to social media, and that includes Twitter, where you can get active with the show, so don't forget to follow Yackin Wit Yoni on Twitter. Now it's time for the newest edition of Yanni's Take, and that's where I give you my opinion and stuff. Of course, it's Thursday. Middle of the week is when Ryan likes to vent. So, what I'm going to not really vent, but talk about is Ray Lewis. I told you I was going to talk about this a couple weeks ago. I figured they'd be eliminated by now, so I just passed it off. But no, they're still in it, and they may get eliminated this weekend, so I might as well get on for now. Ray Lewis, again, the next time he loses, it'll be his last game. Getting a chance to watch that final game his final home game, a playoff game in Baltimore, to be able to get the win. It was unbelievable the way he would come out, dance, and I never got to, because they never really showed the pregame festivities, so a great job by him to be able to do that, and also I didn't get to see the end of that game because I thought it was over. 20-some seconds left, they had Ray Lewis come out there with the offense, do the dance one more time for the home crowd, and he just keeps doing it, and he's been unbelievable. But the thing that I've never heard about until this year was what happened with him in Atlanta in, I believe, 2000, where he was a part of a murder. Nothing ever got charged with him. I mean, it's something that everyone doesn't talk about, and I'm not really 100% sure of the details, but I think other people, like in this day and age, usually when you're involved in something like that, you get in trouble. And I think that's something that really never did happen. I'm not going to get in depth with it because, again, I don't know what happened. All I know is I believe he was with the guy that shot someone. But, again, being a witness to a murder isn't really, and if you have nothing to do with it, then you're fine. I mean, he's talked numerous times. He's been a great football player. Have I followed him? I've been excited to see him? No. I've been excited to see him his last couple of games, to be able to get to see him a couple more times. If you always think, oh, this is going to be his last game, and here it's not. So he's been awesome on that, in that respect. Just to be able to be a great player. He's a great team player. He's already got a contract signed with ESPN, so after this he'll go to ESPN to probably be on NFL Countdown, which I don't watch. So he keeps going to things that I can never watch him at. So, but he's always been a great player. He's always been great. And getting again, the Super Bowl, which would be interesting, would be the Atlanta Falcons against the Baltimore Ravens, because both teams have a guy that's never won a Super Bowl. Well, Ray Lewis has won a Super Bowl, but who wants that ring more? Is it Ray Lewis in his final year, or Tony Gonzalez, who's never had a championship? That would actually be fun to see. Do I think either one of them teams are going to make it? I think that is the outcast of the Super Bowl this year, and we'll be talking about that tomorrow. But I think Ray Lewis even though what he's been through in his life or his career in that way. I still think he put that aside. You look at his football, because you look at his football stats, he's one hell of a player, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. So great job by Ray Lewis. And you never know, I might be back here next week saying once again, he's going on to the Super Bowl. So, we'll see what happens. But again, that is my newest edition of Yanni's Take. Check out the official website of Yackin Wit Yoni, where you give her a promo flyer, Katie's blog, which is never written, and Yackin merchandise, and much more. Go to yackinwitYoni.weebly.com. And okay, now it's time to preview Bucks Suns tonight. Suns have been all over the place. They faced the Bucks in Milwaukee last Wednesday, then the Bulls Saturday, then the Bucks are back there. This is gonna be an interesting game. I think the Bucks know that they need to come out here. The Bucks were able to beat the Suns. Another interesting part of this thing is they have not won since the late 80s. I believe it was 1986 was the last time when the Milwaukee Bucks won a game at U.S. Airways Center or whatever else it's been called in Phoenix. So, I mean, they're looking to get a win. Can this team do it? Of course they can. Monte Ellis, Brandon Jennings, they've played very well as of late. They kind of struggled in the game against the Lakers, but now they got to come out again. Now they're keeping out west, and they also play Portland over the weekend. So, I mean, this is an interesting team, and I think, again, they're starting to fall off their horse a little bit. They were so high, so much momentum, and I think the keys in this game is going to be Larry Sanders, because they had, again, don't forget, Larry Sanders had a very big game against the Phoenix Suns in Milwaukee. And I think if he can have another good game, it's going to be interesting to see how him and Marcin Gortat do battle, because them two guys had a little bit of, not really words, but he's like, come on, act your age. So, and that's when that whole showboating thing, they've been good ever since, so kudos to them. But I think this should be a good game, but you got to watch out for those two. And I think this is a young Suns team, and the Louis Scola, of course, very good. But again, the Bucks have not won there in 26 years. I think, or 27, maybe even more. I think it's time for them to get their first win there, hopefully, for the Milwaukee Bucks as they try to get back on a roll. But just Phoenix has not been the place to win games. And then for the Suns, like I said, Marcin Gortat, Louis Scola, they did it in against the Bulls on Saturday. I was there to witness it. And to see what they're going to be able to do against the Bucks at home, we'll be able to see it. That game will be on at 8 o'clock on Fox Sports Wisconsin as they continue their West Coast trip. Every week I'll have a question to put on Facebook, Twitter, and our website. We want you, the people's feedback, and I'll read them the following Friday. You can also email it to yackinwitYoni@yahoo.com. Question of the week this week is, what do you think the Super Bowl matchup will be? Got a couple of responses, I'll air them, as well as I will have an answer to, or I'll have to answer the question of the week, and then unveil next week's question of the week. Exciting? Pumped up! Hope you guys are too. Also, on a side note, wearing my hockey shirt, celebrating the Blackhawks. Of course, I do Casual Thursday. Blackhawks will be in action Saturday, and again, we'll be previewing. That goes into our previewing for Thursday. We're going to recap Bucks Suns, preview NFL playoff, NBA, and NHL weekend, as well as answer the question of the week. We may, coming up, and more through until until basketball and hockey are done, maybe looking over the little segments that we do, like Yanni's Take and Me Thinking Share, because we're going to have 3 different sports, and eventually, in the beginning of April, it's going to be all over the place through April because of the playoffs, and also you got the pretty much through June because you got all the playoffs going on for all sports, and then you got baseball, so we may be cutting out the little segments and be going right down to sports, so you're going to be seeing some 15-minute shows recapping everything. And again, I'm going to try my hardest to talk about the Blackhawks. It's going to be hard, not knowing anyone on the other team. We'll see what happens, and again, I'll be recapping that tomorrow. That's going to wrap it up for this January the 17th edition of Yackin Wit Yoni. I'm Ryan Yanishada saying this is, and forever will be, one guy, one show, enough said.